The people you've been learning the Bible from, they've been lying to you.
Shalom, Israel, where the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General YAHANNA, and we're not affiliated with any other Israelite group nor any other Christian organization. That said, one of the biggest problems that we have in the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American community is we don't have rules when it comes to dealing with each other, especially in such a sexual context. Rules, sex without rules is an absolute embarrassment. And that comes from our oppressor. We were abused and brutalized and sexualized to think just like our oppressors. We were abused and sexualized and brutalized to make decisions and to see the world just like our oppressors. Our oppressors, the colonizers with that colonial influence, all right? People like your Donald Trumps and your Joe Bidens, right? Your JFKs, those people, your George Washingtons, your Benjamin Franklins, your Thomas Jeffersons, your Andrew Jacksons, those people which are our oppressors. They used Christianity, they used Trinitarianism to push a narrative, to push an ideology, to keep us from having sex with rules. And the Lord said that these were going to be perilous times that we are to look for. In 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Perilous, meaning there's going to be terrible times that are coming. You can't even imagine how terrible these times are going to be. Verse 2, this is what makes them terrible. This is what makes them disgusting. This is what makes these times something to be loathed. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. Meaning there's going to be men out there that are only going to love themselves and only going to do things for themselves. They're not going to care about anything else outside of them. And our oppressors made it that way. Our oppressors brutalized us and sexualized us and abused us to make us think in a way that we are going to love ourselves other than anything else. It says covetous. When it talks about being covetous, this is perilous times. There's going to be a man that's going to want to have sex with another man's wife. And he's going to fashion and orbit his entire life around having sex with other men's women. That's because our oppressor, he fashioned his life and his culture and his customs to have the ability to have sex with other men's women. He set it up that way. That's why in America, in our oppressor's kingdom, in his empire that's called America, he pushes the idea of monogamy, one man to one woman, one man to one woman. However, on the contrary, there's strip clubs, there's XXX content, explicit content, OnlyFans, 304s, prostitution, women who literally sell their bodies for money, women who purposely have sex, even men that have sex for money, but one man to one woman. He fashioned his life. Our oppressors fashioned their lives around having the ability to have sex with another man's woman. It says boasters, proud, meaning you're so boastful for who you are as a person, especially our oppressors. They're so boastful. They're so loud. when it comes to their success and to their riches and their wealth. This is how you would know that you are living in perilous times. When someone is proud of who they are, when who they are is so disgusting. This is how you would know that you're living in perilous times. Blasphemers, meaning someone who has blasphemed the Most High God and his spirit, who is so disgusting and so abominable that the Lord loathes his or her existence. It says disobedient to parents. This is how you're going to know that you live in perilous times. There's going to be a time that your kids will not listen to what you say. That's also because our oppressors use Christianity to teach us, to tell our children, let them find their own way. Let them think for themselves. Allow them to embrace their humanity. Allow them to find their own identity. Let them do what they feel is right. Let them do what they think is right. They're just being who they think they are. They are just expressing who they are. This is how you create disobedient children who disobey their parents. Unthankful. There's going to come a time when no one thanks the Most High God, or no one's just going to be kind or be thankful in general. You can go outside these doors right now and you can be generous and kind as a man and open a door for a sister. She won't say thank you. She'll say, well, this is something you're supposed to do as a man. A man is supposed to hold the door. That's what a sister is going to do. Like, no one is going to be thankful. It says unholy, meaning there's going to be a generation, there's going to come a time where brothers and sisters are not separate or divided from the world. The Lord required so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans to be divided from the world, to be separate from our oppressors, because if not, then you will indulge into their way of life, because our oppressors forced us to indulge in their way of life. The only reason why an OnlyFans model exists and why a 304 exists, or XXX content or explicit content exists in America, is because of our oppressors. It's because of Amalek. It's because of people like your Donald Trumps and your Epsteins and your Joe Bidens. That's why these things exist. And we were brutalized and sexualized and abused to think like they think, and to move how they move, and to make decisions how they make decisions. We were forced to fashion ourselves with their customs and their culture. If you are so-called Black, Latino, or Native American, this is not your culture. These are not your customs. These are not your way of life. Verse 3, without natural affection. There's going to come a time, which is a perilous time, that there's going to come a time where women would rather have sexual intercourse with inanimate objects before they have sexual intercourse with an actual man. It's gotten so bad that women and men too, they would rather exfoliate themselves and cause themselves to have orgasms and climaxes for the entire world to see before you actually go after natural affection. These are perilous times. When you are in a time where a man would rather sit behind a computer screen or your phone screen or a TV screen and turn on XXX content, explicit content, OnlyFans, to watch abused brothers and sisters gratify themselves, are considered to be perilous times according to the Most High God. Were you aware that this culture would never exist if it was not for child abuse? If it wasn't for brutalization of Black and Latino men and women? If it wasn't for the sexualization and the brutalization and the abuse of so-called Black, Latino, and Native American men and women, you would not have the XXX content culture. You would not have the OnlyFans culture. You would not have the 304s culture. You wouldn't have strip club culture. You wouldn't have sneaky link culture if it wasn't for the brutalization and the sexualization and the abuse of Black, Latino, and Native American women since slavery. That's the only reason why these behaviors run rampant in the Black, Latino, and Native American community. Let's continue. It says truce breakers, meaning someone who breaches trust, someone that you can't even trust. We've been so divided and we've been so far removed from what actually matters to the Most High God and what actually matters to an actual nation or ethnicity of a people, that we don't even see that we're supposed to be separate from the customs and the cultures and the behaviors and the conduct that ruin us, that destroy us. It says we can't even trust each other. That's how far removed we are from each other, that we can't even trust each other. We're so divided and so separate, we can't even trust each other, to the point where we would rather trust a way of life and customs and a culture that's ruinous to ourselves, that's self-destructive to ourselves. This is the problem. This is the problem with that XXX content culture. This is what it breeds. It breeds that we can't even trust each other. That's the problem with the 304 and OnlyFans culture. It creates a dynamic where we can't even trust each other. It says false accusers. We are so in tune as a people. We are so in tune with our bodies and our pleasures and the things that make us feel good. Now we're fashioned around lies. We must create lies in order to protect this disgusting, abominable, disgusting behavior, this type of lifestyle, where women will have all of these sexual intercourse and relations with all manner of men, but have a man at home who treats her good, who takes care of her, or even a man who they may not get along all that well, but she's going to lie to this brother and say the kids that she has with this man is his, even though it's Dante's down the street. And it's also Quan's over there down the block. This is the problem with the XXX content culture. This is the problem with the OnlyFans culture and the 304 movement. Then it says incontinent, meaning there's no self-control. This is what's considered to be a perilous time, when men and women have no self-control. They have no sense of constraint. They can't refrain from doing certain things. They must have an orgasm. They must have a climax. They must make decisions off of their erections. They must make decisions based on the bean in between their legs. They must. This is called incontinent behavior. This is how you know you're living in perilous times. The Lord, once again, is against this XXX content culture, the OnlyFans culture, and the 304 culture, because these customs and culture come from our oppressors. It comes from a colonial influence. It comes from the religion of Christianity in Trinitarianism. It comes from your JFKs, your George Washingtons, your Benjamin Franklins, your Thomas Jeffersons, your Andrew Jacksons, your Epsteins, your Joe Bidens. It comes from your Donald Trumps. It comes from your Democratic Party. It comes from your Republican Party. It comes from being liberal. It comes from being conservative. Don't allow the world to make you believe anything else outside of what I'm saying here to you today.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man, if you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please go to ISUPK.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West. They're one